welcome to this week's edition of the Grain Gauntlet. Hot topic this week is the U.S. Supreme Court's decision on tariffs, and a lot of people, obviously have questions about how that's going to impact the markets. I know there's a lot of talk outside of our company about it being just devastating and bad. I think you'll see from today that we're not quite as doom and gloom as some others, but we do have to remain cautious. I've got Patrick Hayes, owner of Hedge Plus, here with me to answer these questions. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Well, the first question says, with the Supreme Court decision, what happens now to soybean price potential?
That's a great question because I have no idea. I don't think Z is going to be all over Trump when they have a meeting in April. Okay. So between now and April, I don't expect the Chinese to back off on their buying, just because the Supreme Court says Trump can't have tariffs. Now, long term, that could have a negative effect because Trump doesn't have a stick with China. But at the same time, there's other sticks he can use. I learned, energy, right, Josh?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's there's a lot that's taking place between when that case was heard. When the case was heard, there was definite initial reaction. People thought this ruling was going to go against them. Perhaps that's why maybe there isn't a big shock wave now that it's been announced. But what took place with Venezuela and the U.S. taking control of more oil that China used to buy from Venezuela, and now we might see something happen with Iran. And what all that adds up to is leverage. So the tariffs weren't the only leverage that Trump had. And if we control more of the world's oil, at least the decision makers on it are aligned with the U.S. instead of China, we still have a lot of leverage to use with China to ensure that they continue to buy our egg products from us.
And here's the other thing. One thing I used to always say to people, and this is still true today: fundamentals trump everything else. Get it, Trump? That's pretty good, huh? And it's really wet Mato Grosso right now, and that's slowing their harvest, maybe a little disease pressure with the wetness, but really, then they're going to have a huge crop. It's just delaying the harvest, but it's also delaying Safina crop being planted, which is good news overall. Argentina hasn't had the best weather. They've been hot and dry, had some rains that took away some of the stress, but damage was done. So fundamentals rule everything. With the big report we got last week from the USDA, the corn market got a nice bullish USDA acre outlook. So everything gradually returns to fundamentals. Fundamentals in beans is China buying our beans. Right now, I don't see that stopping.
All right, I agree. Whether they slow down, there's probably ups and downs along the way, but I think in the end, they buy exactly what people were expecting when these rallies have come. The two rallies we've gotten with beans are because of the expectation China's going to buy. We think in the end, they still are going to buy.
Well, after all, where am I going to buy my Christmas presents for my future grandkids if I can't buy them cheap from China?
Right, exactly. They need us. All right, next question says, what should we be prepared for if the U.S. launches a quick strike against the land or if a real war breaks out?
Well, a big-time war breaking out, I'll answer that part first, is devastating to the world, right? There's a lot of product that moves through that part of the world from the west to the east. India and China buy a lot of food products, right? And you got even Egypt moving wheat through the Straits of Hormuz and to the west, to the east, along with Ukraine, Russia. There's a lot of stuff that moves along with energy. I would expect a long-term war to cause a similar spike as the Ukrainian-Russian war did in 21 and 22. We'll see prices go up. If it's a quick strike, we'll have an emotional reaction, which will probably again be up because of uncertainty of moving products through that area of the world, and then it'll quickly come back down to where it was. So if it's just a quick military airstrike, we don't get bogged down with that long war. It'll be an emotional reaction that maybe we'll want to take advantage of with some hedging or with some cash sales. Long term, it's really bullish. And that's not the kind of bullish us as Americans want.
Right, exactly. I don't think President Trump does either. And I think this actually ties back into what you saw in Venezuela. What Trump really wants from with Iran, I believe, is a regime change.
No
It's
question.
something more like SPS in Saudi Arabia, who will control the flow of oil to our liking and not have an outlet for China to buy oil from cheaply. I don't think that the desired goal is to, absolutely wipe out Iran and throw bombs all over the place. I think Trump's preference is just for the Iran regime to flee and then have them replaced by a more favorable government with the U.S. I think that's what we're
I'm all
looking
for the return of the Shah, right? And we're talking a lot about what's happening politically around the world, which is kind of where our markets are today, which is kind of really sad, right? There's so much being controlled by political events around the world that really puts a lot of uncertainty and craziness into our markets. We got to be smart enough to be ready for that stuff, but also focus on fundamentals at the same time. So I think you're right. It's time to watch closely what happens over there. We all pray there's not a long-time war that puts our soldiers at risk.
Right, exactly. Third question, do the bullish USDA forum numbers for corn give them a decent shot at a rally before the planting intentions report?
I think I don't want to end it at the planting intentions report. I think they will have similar numbers for that report, and that will be a non-report. I do think that going into spring, it enhances rally potential tenfold. It really does. I mean, we're dropping down to 1.83 billion bushels at projected ending stock with those numbers. That is tight enough to actually see a summer rally, something we haven't seen for 2 years. And we could see that rally in April big time. If the safrinha crop is delayed and they get heat and dryness in April, this thing will rally 50 cents in a heartbeat. If we are delayed planting because it's too wet in areas, I'm more concerned about wetness in the north than dryness in the south. We'll get planted. That's more of a May, June issue, where the wetness and coolness is more of an April, early May issue. So there's enough tightness now in the market in corn that any kind of weather upset will put weather premium into the market and we'll get a rally. I am so much more happy this week after that report than last week. Way more happy, much better potential.
Yeah, exactly. So potential definitely certainly goes beyond the intentions report, which comes up about a month from now, end of March. But perhaps maybe some weather in South America, we could start to see some of the positive movement come, prior. But you're saying that the biggest potential lies beyond that report.
Yes, okay. For sure.
All right, question number 4. Any impact on corn from the Supreme Court decision? We know how it affects beans, or people thought it would at least.
Yeah, I think it helps corn if we get exports of input costs down a little bit, right? That could help machinery, stuff that we use to plant the crop with, I think could be a little bit cheaper long haul without the high tariffs, but not much of an effect.
Right. It doesn't sound like there's any trade deals that are in jeopardy because of this decision. It's like we talked about. There's other leverage to keep those trade deals in place.
And our corn's cheaper than anywhere else in the world. So,
back to fundamentals. Exactly. Yep. Okay. Final question from Prospect. My buyer isn't offering new crop bids for soybeans yet. How should I hedge in case prices start falling?
First of all, get a new buyer, because that's ridiculous. You're talking at the end of February, you can't sell new crop soybeans. You can't forward price. I have never heard that before at this time of the year. And I'm sure I've seen it, but I don't recall it. It's a rarity. If you can find another buyer, that's what you do. But if you can't make a sale, the only way you can replace it is with short futures in November. That's what a HTA is. After all, you're locking in a futures price. So I would lock in a short futures or find a place where you can forward price.
Yeah, I wish I knew more about this one because I was curious about that myself. That was my initial question: is where is this person located that they can't forward contract yet on anything? So
Maybe up by the Canadian border in North Dakota.
yeah,
I have a guy that has limited buyers up there. There's areas at the outskirts of the grain belt that probably have that, and that means that buyer is an idiot. Okay, he's an idiot. He's taking advantage of the farmer. He's not giving them a normal tool to use that everybody else in the Midwest can use. Forward pricing has been part of farm marketing forever. If you can't forward price a new crop in February, wow, that's sad.
yeah. All right. Well, good. Great discussion this week. Hopefully, we've put some people at mind at ease about the tariffs. Everything. I think everyone knows there's other methods for Trump, but there's actually even more beyond just replacing it with different tariffs. We have a lot of leverage. I think it has a lot to do with oil, and I think we'll be okay going forward.
I do too, and I hope that soon we just return to fundamentals. It'll be so much nicer for everybody to know where everybody stands. And, you have to go through turmoil to get progress sometimes. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you very much. We'll talk to you all again next week.
Have a great week, everybody. Talk to you soon.